Doom: The Dark Ages is a prequel, which means you could totally jump in and make it your first game in the series. If so, you're going to need some tips on how to make the most out of its occasionally overwhelming combat. And if you're a Doom veteran, you should follow along too, because id Software changed things up again. These 10 tips will help you become a well-oiled demon-killing machine. One of the most notable changes to Doom's combat in the Dark Ages is the shield, which will never leave your side once you get it. Well, except for when you throw it, but we'll talk about that next. You can raise the shield to block enemy fire and defend yourself from the literal fire that spews from traps in certain levels. Just be aware, it can only block so many hits before breaking, and then you'll need to wait for a cooldown before you can use it again. The other maneuver you need to remember is the shield charge. By holding down the back left shoulder button or right mouse button, you can target an enemy from a considerable distance away. You can then shoot yourself right up in their face. There are many uses for this technique. You could use it to close the gap for a melee attack or close range shotgun blast, move vertically if the enemy is perched above you, or deal a bunch of splash damage to a group of fodder enemies and regain some health. You could even use it defensively as a way to disengage from a losing fight. Now let's talk about throwing the shield at a distant enemy. By default, your shield will kill the weakest demons in one hit, and it can tear through multiple targets if you aim correctly. It'll even deal additional damage on its way back to your hand. Throwing your shield can also destroy enemy armor and shields once they've been heated up by an energy weapon. More on those in a moment. Much like the shield charge, this has a shockwave effect that can take out whole rows of shielded enemies, and it feels so satisfying every time. You can also throw your shield at larger demons, which will temporarily stun them. This is especially important to stop enemies like the Arachnotrons that will otherwise constantly pepper you from afar with unparryable bullets. Just be aware that this takes the shield out of your control unless you summon it back with a button press. Timing matters, but letting your shield go for a moment to keep a stronger enemy occupied can give you a moment to clear out the cannon fodder. Still sticking with the shield here, we need to talk about parries. This is the biggest change in Doom: The Dark Ages. When a green-colored energy blast comes your way, you can raise your shield just before getting hit to send it right back at the enemy. This deals big damage and interrupts their attacks, opening them up for a whole lot of hurt. Note that you don't even have to aim the reflected projectile. It will automatically go right back to the demon that fired it. Also, don't be afraid of the bullet patterns your enemies fire off. Your best bet is to stand firm and parry back as many as you can. Make this a habit early on. Upgrading the shield gives parries a shockwave of their own, and you already know how powerful those can be. Once you start unlocking shield runes, you'll get additional buffs that give you even more reason to parry as often as possible. Parries are also the main strategy for taking down champion level demons. You can wear down these bosses with regular gunfire, but it is much more difficult to dodge their long range attacks than it is to parry their close range ones. Parrying as much as possible is the best way to drain their stamina meter, letting you do big damage while they recover. Melee attacks aren't a new thing in this Doom game, but they do work differently. They operate on a cooldown, so you can't just spam punches against your opponents. You can also pick up melee ammo, which sounds funny, but instantly reloads a melee attack without waiting for the cooldown. Meleeing an enemy makes them drop gun ammo, so it's worth trading punches pretty often. Don't let limited melee ammo or cooldowns scare you away from using your melee strikes. It's a resource that's meant to be spent, and it doesn't have to be saved for special occasions. That said, it is good to use the melee weapon that best suits your playstyle. You'll pick up a few on your journey. For example, the power gauntlet you initially get has a shorter cooldown and is meant for one-on-one fights. The flail, which you'll pick up later, is better for crowd control. Stop me if you've heard this one before, but it sends out a shockwave that damages nearby enemies on impact. The trade-off is that it has a longer cooldown. Okay, we know why you're playing Doom. You want to shoot a bunch of cool guns. Go for it. The Dark Ages lets you lean on the guns you like best, but you still need to be aware of the differences between them. For example, energy weapons like the Accelerator or Cycler are the best for overloading the enemy's energy shields or heating up their armor. On the flip side, unarmored enemies are going to be more susceptible to the piercing shots of the Shredder or Impaler, and the close-range blasts of your shotguns. It's good to flip between all your guns depending on the situation, and the UI makes it really easy to see how much ammo you have left. The literal number is there in the weapon wheel, but if you're not sure if that number is high or low for that particular weapon, look at the wedge on the wheel itself. The higher the yellow meter is, the more ammo you actually have for that specific gun. After all, 6 shotgun shells means something very different from 6 auto-fire rounds for the pulverizer. In the same vein, pay attention to the range and bullet patterns of your guns. Some of these are self-explanatory. The combat shotgun and super shotgun are meant for getting up close and personal, while the Impaler fires deadly spike ammo in a long-range arc. Keep these in mind as you're fighting, so you don't waste ammo, even if there is a lot of it lying around. Some guns are better for crowd control. The aforementioned pulverizer fires a wide horizontal sheet of bullets, which can chew through rows of weaker demons. Once upgraded, the chain shot lets off a good old-fashioned shockwave when it connects, hitting extra enemies around the target. Then you have the rocket launcher, the rare gun that offers both splash damage and range thanks to its explosive shot. Your best bet is to spend time with each new gun when you get it, so you can know the best time to use it later. Being aggressive is the best way to play Doom. In fact, being low on health is the time to go even harder. By default, enemies drop more health orbs when your health is low. You are not meant to retreat. As you upgrade your guns, you can also increase the shields and armor your enemies drop, so being aggressive is key. If you find yourself needing more health, you'll need to track down some of the tougher demons. Beating a leader, indicated by a blue, green, or yellow orb above their head, will reward you with upgrades to the Sentinel himself. You'll see these marked on the map's green checklist. Blue orbs mean more health, green gives more shields, and yellow is for increased ammo. Many of these fights are optional or found in secret areas, but you really shouldn't skip them. Doom gives you a lot of tools to win the fight, but you should still give yourself as many advantages as possible. Boosting your Sentinel's stats is the best way to do that. These tips have been focused on boots-on-the-ground combat so far, but I want to take a moment to talk about mechs. The Atlan is a blast to control in this game, but it plays entirely differently, as you may expect. Taking down the kaiju-sized demons revolves around combos. As you punch, you'll feel a meter, building toward an AoE stomp or a sucker punch finisher. The goal is to maintain that combo, because if you get hit, you'll have to start filling the meter again from scratch. Make sure you're dodging the enemy's attacks, and don't bother with the stomp unless it's more than a one-on-one fight. Keep dodging even when you pick up your massive mech gun. Perfect dodges will charge it up for more damage. Finally, know that everything we've talked about can be tweaked in the game's difficulty and accessibility menus. There are a ton of options in here, from extending the parry window to slowing down or speeding up enemy projectiles. Colorblind folks will also be happy to know they can change the colors of parryable attacks and the in-game map. There is no shame in adjusting these settings or dropping the difficulty if that's what you need to enjoy the game. As long as you're having fun taking down those demons, that's all that matters. If you need more ripping and tearing tips, be sure to visit our wiki on IGN. These levels are packed with secrets to uncover when you're not fighting, and we can help you find them all.